On Earth, in a Japanese hospital, permanently disabled patient Keina Kagami dies when her life support fails due to a power outage. To her surprise, she awakens in the world of Leadale, the setting of the role-playing game she has been using virtual reality to interact with the rest of the world as her avatar. The High Elf Mage Cayna. She is shocked to learn that 200 years have passed since she last entered the kingdom, and that the White Kingdom and the Green Kingdom, the setting she had played in, have merged into one kingdom about 60 years ago and have since descended into poverty. And from her AI support unit Key, she also learns about what happened to her on Earth. She decides to visit her Skillmaster operation base in the game, the Silver Tower, only to be reminded by the tower's guardian that she has several adopted children. On her way back to the inn, she saves a hunter from a monster and passes out from drinking wine at the feast. The next morning, Keina heals a mercenary who was attacked and wounded by an ogre when his company crossed the forest. Out of gratitude for saving their comrade's life, the mercenaries and their employer, kobold merchant Elena, escort Keina to a capital where her children reside and where she hopes to find one of the guardian towers. She registers herself as an adventurer and manages to meet her dwarf son Kartats, who subsequently informs his other siblings, Scargo and Mai, of their mother's presence in the city. However, soon afterwards, Keina unintentionally draws a lot of attention to herself when she responds to an Adventurers Guild request to submit a potion to a student at the Royal Academy, and later uses her magic in spectacular ways to help royal courtiers Agaido and Lanti in catching the kingdom's runaway royal prince, whom she nicknames Primo. While looking for possible locations harboring guardian towers, Keina receives a summons to the Royal Academy, where she meets her daughter Mai and her son-in-law Lopus Harvey, who quiz her about how to create a potion like the one she submitted the previous day, via a method which is long lost. Later, she takes up a quest to exorcise a ghost from the capital's Colosseum, with Primo tailing her. When the ghost finally appears, Keina finds out that it is actually the custodian of the 9th skill Master's Guardian Tower, which lies hidden beneath the Colosseum, and is shocked to learn that after her death on Earth, the Leadale game was taken offline. After the Guardian makes her the new mistress of its tower, Keina sinks into a deep depression. When the worried Scargo bursts in on her, Keina, disgusted by his eccentricity, punches him straight through her inn's room ceiling before resuming her sulking. Kartats seeks Keina out and she gets introduced to Scargo. Later, Elena hires her as a caravan guard while he travels to the neighboring kingdom of Helspur. They run into an ambush set by the bandits. The bandits are defeated by Keina, allowing the caravan to continue on its way. Asked by Mai to deliver a letter to one Karadik, who works at the influential merchant company Sakaya. Keina discovers that the person in question is her grandson. She also meets his sister, Serena, and her granddaughter. After an introduction, she begins looking for the next Guardian Tower. Two adventurers and secretly stranded Leadale gamers, Quoleka and Exis, tell her of a place called Crescent Moon Castle, which is located deep within bandit territory. Before she can continue, a band of rock golems attacks the fortress, and despite her misgivings about standing out again, Keina comes to the knight's aid. Keina handily defeats their attack golems with her magic, and given their power levels, she assumes that their summoner must be another player stuck within the game like herself. Arriving at Crescent Moon Castle, she overwhelms a gang of bandits and their demon boss, who is indeed another Leadale player, using the absence of the game administrators to wreak havoc at his whim. Despite Keina's objections, the bandit leader is detained by the Helspur Knights for trial after she restrains his abilities. Making her way into the castle, she revives the skeletal guardian and learns from it that the Guardian Tower belonged to Opus, a fellow skill master and her former mentor in the game. The Guardian also presents Keina with the tower's Guardian Ring and a very familiar let to her by Opus, and also receives a huge monetary reward from her grandchildren for clearing the bandit threat before returning to Felskillo. On her way back, Keina encounters Karatats, and they return to Feliskilo capital together. She takes up an adventuring quest to hunt horned bear meat for a high-class restaurant, but gets unexpected company from Lonti and a friend of hers called May, who asks to accompany her. Quickly guessing that Mai is really Primo's sister, Keina gives her permission, and in the forest she awes the two girls with her magical powers, including by using them to construct a hot bath out of nothing. The next day at the Adventurers Guild, the leader of the Feliskilo Knight Corps, Shining Saber, encounters an adventurer named Korhal, and both recognize each other as fellow players from Earth who got stuck in the world of Leadale for years. At the Royal Academy, Lopus Harvey unsuccessfully tries to recreate Keina's method of potion making, but when he dumps the failed concoction into a refuse pit, somehow a gargantuan monster, an event monster from the game, is called into being and embarks on a rampage. Feliskilo's defenders mobilized against the monster, but it proves too powerful for them until Keina returns and easily vanquishes it. As the cause is assessed in the aftermath, Korhal and Shining Saber recognize Keina as a fellow player and ask her to meet them in the Colosseum. After revealing their true natures as Leadale players to each other, they begin exchanging news and establishing a connect link. For receiving a powerful new sword and a useful ability from Keina, Korhal points out the possible location of another Guardian Tower near a coastal fishing village. Afterwards, Keina decides to permanently settle down in the village where she arrived in Leadale. Keina is enthusiastically welcomed back to the village. The next morning, she descends into the village well to investigate its strange singing emanating from it, and thus discovers and rescues Mimily, a mermaid who is stranded in an underwater cave by a freak magical portal. After erecting a bathhouse to shelter her, Keina returns to Feliskilo's capital to join an expedition by the Feliskilo Knights against the bandit threat to get to the coastal village Korhal mentioned. When Shining Saber, who is leading the campaign, performs an act of gallantry for Keina, the assembled knights erroneously begin to believe that the two are lovers. After a few days, she parts ways with the knights and heads for the village, only to discover it shrouded by a life-draining fog and crawling with zombies. While investigating the zombie village, Keina encounters Quoleka and Exis, who have come here on an assignment of their own, and a young girl named Luca, the only survivor of her community. After determining that the death fog must be a quest event from the game, Keina summons a NPC butler named Roxilus to look after Luca before she, Exis, and Quoleka set out to defeat the boss monster responsible for this. With the threat eliminated, Keina journeys to the Guardian Tower she was looking for, the Palace of the Dragon King, whose guardian accepts her as its new master. Keina brings Luca and Feliskilo's capital to introduce her to other children and friends. She also receives a wagon from Elena as a gift for her past services, and summons Roxilus' counterpart and rival, the werecat maid Roxine, to help in her new household. After converting the wagon into a self-propelled golem, Keina and her entourage set out for the remote village, where she introduces Luca to the locals, who promptly prepare a welcome party for her. The day after the party, the villagers grant Keina a small plot of land on which she builds her new house with her magic. After she, Luca, Roxilus, and Roxine have more or less settled in, Keina fulfills a promise to Lit and takes her and Luca on a flying tour across the land.